All right, let's do this. Hello, check. my beautiful voice. Hello, my name is Morgan, and I'm doing things, shooting a little bit of documentary footage here at the Miami Quebec Center. Is that what it's called? Quebec. Whoa.
This one's on, this one's not.
Okay, hold on. Oh, I see. That might do it.
Hello. I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet favor to men of understanding, but time and chance happeneth to them all. Ecclesiastes 9:11.
Well, all right, so what does that mean? That means, like, you only have a 2-camera setup. I don't even have that.
Developing story out of the city of Miami, where police have been called out to investigate a bomb threat at the Quebec Center on Southwest 27th Avenue, just south of Flagler Street. Officers there say they were tipped off by the Miami Herald, which received an email saying a bomb would explode at the center.
I guess, according to the tech people, we are live. Welcome to Airplay. My name is Michael Koretsky. I'm a national board member with the Society of Professional Journalists. Airplay is really a series of 3 debates. The first is the shortest, and it's right now. In the afternoon, this is my little tease, we're going to dive into that topic. For now, I want to talk about, is the gaming press ethical?
Games media has long had a problem with corruption and ethical issues.
Joining us today are Mario and Luigi. We're going to learn some inside tricks to Super Mario Bros. 3, but first, this commercial break.
Going back to the early days of video games journalism, games magazines such as Nintendo Power were owned and operated by games companies themselves. This was, of course, fairly obvious. What you read in those magazines could be taken with a grain of salt, in the upfront knowledge that it would be hideously biased. Things were not, yet, as serious.
As always, we've got the up-to-the-minute news you're waiting for, and we get it from the #1 source in gamer goodies, GamePro magazine.
Magazines, back when these kind of things were in print, were either glorified catalogues for their parent company or enthusiast press, not dissimilar to any other niche interest hobby. Early games writers were drawn from the hobbyists who constructed computers with no real agenda and a pragmatic view towards games. Did they work? Were the graphics good? Did they show something cool that the computer could do? Were they fun? That was pretty much the extent of their interest in it.
We're on the floor of the Electronic Entertainment Expo in Los Angeles, California.
Yeah, this is E3. This is the one time a year event where all the major players in the industry get together, show off their wares, see what the other guy has, and schmooze.
Once gaming in and of itself became more of a thing, you began to see specialist games reviewers. These were perhaps a bit more discerning. These kind of reviews began with breathless enthusiasm, turning to more cynicism and humour in their observations going into the 90s.
Tired of all the fun and entertainment in your gaming television? Then we've got the hardcore program that strips the fun off of the games and focuses on what's really important. Adam Sessler's Opinion. This is Meet the Sess. It's insightful.
My has more life than the PSP battery.
It's unbiased.
I hate all of these games.
He's not afraid of asking the tough questions.
So you like Xenosaga?
Yes.
What the is your problem?
He doesn't hold back.
We're gonna raise money to fund an army and hunt down those steely-eyed insurgents that are green-lighting the Mega Man games.
Trust us, he doesn't play happy grab-ass with his guests.
Just because Grand Theft Auto San Andreas sold 6 million copies in no way proves that gaming has gone mainstream.
You know, if I ever said something that stupid, I would shave my ass and shoot myself.
Adam Sessler.
Do you like RPGs now?
Meet the Sess.
If I cared about your opinion, you'd have a television show.
The fun stops here.
Things began to get more serious as the games industry began to explode in popularity and worth. Games reviews began to shift online and to an advertising rather than a subscription or sales revenue model.
What's the first thing you guys are going to do once you get in the game world, you got a car, what are you going to do?
Drive around and look for a helicopter and just like fly over the city.
That's
Helicopter first. That's a good one, actually.
13. Are you sure you're here for Grand Theft Auto?
Probably pick up a hooker.
Probably try to kill as many people as I can. I try to steal as many cars as I can, and hopefully that'll serve me as training in real life.
So do you have in keeping with real life, I'm gonna get hammered. You can actually get hammered in this one? I didn't know.
Yeah, you can even drive drunk if you want to.
All right, perfect.
Dorset kids.
But this was also the period, the 2000s, in which financial corruption began to creep in seriously. Companies wielded their direct and indirect financial muscle to demand better reviews and to ensure cooperation by games media outlets. Failure to cooperate would mean the loss of early access and advertising revenue.
If you're looking for a review of Halo 4, this is not the video that you want. That video is actually on this channel, so go watch that and then come back and watch this, because this is infinitely much stupider. We got this box in the mail.
Lost access meant fewer exclusives and a delay in news, fatal in the immediacy of the internet.
Doritos and Mountain Dew. I don't know if those are software companies or... No, they're snack foods, who am I kidding?
This has given advertisers and sponsors an enormous amount of power over games media outlets through their direct or indirect sponsorships. To get early access, to get early release copies of games, to make reviews and guides and so on, they need to maintain a good relationship with the game studios. Bad reviews risk losing revenue and access.
And here to help us find our way through the chaos, Sony's Kyle Schubel. How are you, Kyle?
I'm doing great, Kevin. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
At the same time, you have issues around the games media regarding nepotism and corruption. Payola has long been the case, and sponsorship has been at the status of self-parody for years.
Please stay in the business, get excited about being a game journalist, because we need more great game journalists. I talk to a lot of young, aspiring game journalists, and they're writing previews or they're writing a review, and that's great, or they're covering the news. But what you really need to do is kind of find your own niche.
Oh yeah, I'm a journalist. You hear me, Neil Gaff? You hear me, Jeff Keighley? Mountain Dew, call me, because I need to get this tattoo touched up. I know that much, and let's be honest, I have no shame.
While this was derided and criticised, it became the accepted status quo. Everyone knew review scores were nonsense.
All right, first we're going to talk about Dragon Age 2 so we can get Miguel's ass out of here. So, what's up with that game, dude? You gave it a big score, 9.2.
Why?
What?
Why?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Oh, Miguel, man, look, I gotta...
Did you know opinions
I gotta
could be
take issue with
wrong?
that.
Everyone knew that pay-for-reviews and other nastiness was taking place, and so everything was taken with a grain of salt.
I wonder if Microsoft paid them to give Killzone 2 a 5. Is Greek Nerd making a really funny joke? Like the way that we always get accused of taking money from Microsoft, and we just still take money from Microsoft even if it's for a Sony game? Or did you get it completely wrong as you're trying to impugn my integrity? Okay, here's what I have to say for everyone out there that loves to say that we get money from things, just so you have some sort of context of what that means in light of what we do for a living. Do you f*** your mother? Yeah, you don't like the implication of that. Don't impugn my integrity.
So, these guys, we asked them to come up with 5 case studies, 5 examples of what they say are unethical practices by the gaming press.
You've been working in the games industry as a journalist for a long time.
Yeah.
How have you seen gaming journalism change in all this time?
We're going to break those down with these guys. First, a little warning. This is not an Oxford debate. There's no script. I'm not a broadcaster. This is not CNN.
Well, I think, gaming journalism has changed in a lot of the same ways that the game industry has changed over the last, 11 or 12 years.
We're just having a conversation here. So our goal with this is threefold. First, we're going to find out from these guys who are ethics experts if it's even a violation at all.
It's become a much bigger business all around. There's a lot more money at stake. So as a result, everything's gotten a little more corporate. Everyone's a little more careful.
Second, if it is a violation, is it a high crime or just a misdemeanor?
The kind of freewheeling days of pre-E3 crazy debauchery out in this tent out at CES and all this stuff, all that stuff's long gone, and the suits have kind of taken over.
Third, we want to have enough time at the end so that we can talk about how to fix things, how to make a good gaming press better or a bad gaming press good, depending on your outlook on life.
I can do it super duper fast.
I don't believe you.
I bet you gonna dare me? You gonna challenge me? Okay.
I double dog dare.
Okay.
A higher profile example of the same problem came with Gerstmann Gate.
Mr. Kane, what? I need you to cover your head. What did you say? Just cover your head now!
Jeff Gerstmann had reviewed Kane and Lynch a 6.0 for GameSpot.
Kane and Lynch Dead Men is an ugly, ugly game. That's not necessarily me talking just about the graphics. It's got a really ugly storyline with characters that are impossible to like, and it's a third-person shooter that has several gameplay flaws as well.
He was then later fired because it was scored too low.
A 6, which in any sane world would be considered above average.
We reached out to Jeff Gerstmann for a comment on the story. Sadly, we weren't able to get one before this broadcast. I don't think he's actually allowed to talk about the thing. Also, GameSpot released the following statement a few weeks back. They say, quote, GameSpot takes its editorial integrity extremely seriously.
The website was covered in ads for Kane and Lynch. And this is something that's been in the industry at least the last 10 years, which we know from personal account of Dan Shu, former editor-in-chief of Entertainment Gaming Monthly.
No, I've had writers at GameSpeed who told me like their previous publications, smaller ones, where they would do editorial content like a top 10 list. This game had to be included in the top 10 list because they were an advertiser, not because it deserved to be in the top 10 list.
The internet, of course, has been ablaze with conspiracy theories suggesting that Jeff was fired because of this single bad Kane and Lynch review. Why is the real story such a secret here? I mean, it was a pretty high-profile firing.
Yeah, I don't know that we really know the real story behind what happened with Jeff Gerstmann, and we may never know.
In this case, I just want to make sure, do we know that that's why that guy got fired?
Yes.
Now, you work at GameSpot for 10 years.
We know that's why he got fired.
They can you. They say, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
And this whole hullabaloo.
Because he later went on to form another website.
Jeff Gerstmann, former editorial director of GameSpot.com, has announced that he started work on his own website.
It was owned by CBS.
You go to Giant Bomb.
CBS then acquired GameSpot.
Then CBS buys Giant Bomb.
And he was no longer forced by an NDA to not speak about it. He could actually clear the air.
I mean, you've never had the opportunity to speak about what happened.
Legally, yeah, I was unable to talk about anything that happened when I was fired back in 2007.
Yeah.
And so now you're back with GameSpot. So it's like basically the Empire bought the Rebels, and now you're all on the same base and just walking around going, man, hey.
All right, so this gets to a facet of journalism called reviewing, which is controversial not only in gaming, but especially in music.
It was, there was a lot of transitions happening, a lot of new managers in place that hadn't really worked with an editorial team very closely.
Should reviewing have a lot of opinion, a little opinion? Are there any rules for that, ethically speaking?
The big one
came
after that, right?
Yeah, the big one came after that, and that was Kane and Lynch Dead Men. Being able to say, like, this game is not great, even if that game happens to be an advertiser. But with a team in place that wasn't experienced at dealing with these issues, it kind of became like this 3-alarm fire.
If I'm reviewing, whether it's a video game, an album from an artist, a new car, or a new restaurant, what parts of the ethics code do I need to especially look at?
Yeah, it was weird. Penny Arcade ran a comic strip about it. Fairly intense meetings where a lot of really crazy things were said at me. Threats and stuff about what was going to happen as a result of this review and stuff like that.
The act independently and the be transparent. I mean, I think those are two things. So, if there's some kind of relationship between you or your company or where you're working and the product, so in this case, a game or the game developer, I think that should be disclosed.
From my perspective, we did what an editorial team does, and we did what we were supposed to be doing.
And it took 5 years for the other details to come out, including suggestions that other companies were applying similar financial pressure to games review sites.
And I'm joined today by John Bain, known to many of you in the gaming community as Total Biscuit.
I've been offered a free Alienware laptop with a copy of the game installed on it that I get to keep if I do a video on the game. Needless to say, I turned that down.
I asked him, well, how do you deal with these situations where the advertisers pull advertising, and you depend on that revenue, you depend on that income?
That's what every journalist wants. You want to work for someone who says, I don't care if you pulled millions of dollars of advertising, we're going to do what we want because it's in the public's interest.
And he said, you know what? It doesn't matter. You service the readers and the advertising will come because they have no choice because you're servicing the widest readership. So he said, just always worry about that. And that has stuck with me to this day.
Yeah, that's how old-fashioned EGM was.
These problems have led a lot of gamers to an exodus away from the larger game sites. seeking out those who promise a more ethical and honest approach.
What quickly becomes obvious is that Witcher is very much a PC-exclusive game, which are typically designed to be as complex and unintuitive as possible so that those dirty console-playing peasants don't ruin it for the glorious PC gaming master race.
These are the top 10 gaming controversies of 2012! No, they're not. Yes, they are. No, they're not. Yes, they are. No, they're not. Yes, they fucking are!
As YouTube became more popular, the same corruption issues began to appear there.
Hello, I'm Angry Joe, and this is my review of Halo 4. It's a good game, and I got plenty of bonus XP.